Hey guys, it's Lauren from the Express Lane, and this week we are talking all about the Enneagram. Now, the Enneagram is a personality quiz, just like many others out there, where you can go online, take a free quiz, and it will tell you what type you are. For the Enneagram, in this case, it's really what number you are. You could be numbers 1 through 9. So there is, of course, an official Enneagram test that you can take for a small fee. I think it's like $12 or something like that. It's not very much money, but there is, of course, also a free version that you can take, which is nice as well. So we are going to include links for both in the description box below if you want to go ahead and take the quiz and find out which Enneagram type you are if you don't know already. Now, I am a huge fan of personality assessments. I think that they can help you learn so much about yourself, as well as the people that you work with, and even the people that you are just close with, people that you spend a lot of time with. So we would love to hear from you, of course, if there are any personality assessments that you love, ones that you swear by. Maybe it's the Gallup Strengths Finder, maybe it's DISC, maybe it's the Myers-Briggs, whatever it happens to be. Leave us a comment in the comment box below and let us know what your favorite personality assessment is. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and we are going to jump right in. We're covering the 9 different types of Enneagrams, and we are going to be chatting about each different type, their strengths, their weaknesses, ways that they can improve as a leader, as well as even if you aren't that Enneagram type, we'll be talking about ways, the best ways that you can interact with that Enneagram type in the workplace as well. We are going to start right away at type number 1 and work our way all the way up to type number 9 for this list. And type number 1 is the reformer. Now, I wouldn't really be surprised if a lot of the people watching this video are reformers because they are natural born leaders. They have a strong sense of purpose and they are very self-disciplined individuals. Now, when it comes to some of the weaknesses for our reformer, reformers, of course, they pride themselves on a job well done. So if they work alongside other coworkers that don't necessarily have the same drive or have the same expectations, then the reformer can sometimes get frustrated with that and can become resentful toward that individual. So if you are a reformer, this is definitely a good thing to keep in mind when you are working with some of your coworkers so that you don't kind of build up that sense of resentfulness toward that specific employee. Now, when it comes to leadership and building your leadership skills, if you are a reformer, one of the things to keep in mind is going to be empathy. Now, empathy is a great place to start, especially when it comes to your employees, because again, you are a very driven individual. You like to exercise control, and that doesn't always sit well with your coworkers. So it's really important not only to practice empathy, but to also give your coworkers some grace, be patient with them as hard as it can be when it comes to working on projects and different tasks in the workplace. Finally, if you are not a reformer, but you do work alongside of one, the things that you want to keep in mind are first that the reformer is especially sensitive to criticism. So keep that in mind. And as long as you respect their integrity and you honor your agreements with them, so if you agree to do something with them, make sure that you follow through with that, you're going to be able to strengthen your workplace relationship pretty quickly. Type number 2 for the Enneagram is the helper. Now, the helper is definitely the empathetic leader, very opposite of the reformer. And the helper is very much about helping others for the greater good, really bettering those around them. And they're very driven by servant leadership. Now, when it comes to the weaknesses of the helper, it's kind of to be expected, right? They put other people before themselves, so they really tend to neglect their own needs. They're very much people pleasers. They want to, make everyone around them happy. And because of that, they are highly susceptible to burnout, especially when they're trying to overcompensate for other people that maybe aren't as empathetic in the office when it comes to their coworkers. Now, when it comes to helpers that are looking to grow their leadership skills, it's really important for them to address their own needs and understand that if they're not addressing their own needs, then they're going to be ineffective as a leader in addressing their team's needs. And as well, taking care of themselves and addressing their own needs is going to make them less resentful toward their coworkers as well. For those who are not helpers but work alongside of them, a few things to keep in mind. First would just be to offer approval or appreciation as needed for their hard work or different ideas they bring to the table, but also to just embrace their warm personality and just being sincere. Something as simple as being sincere with them is really going to take you a long way when it comes to your workplace relationship. Next on our list is type number 3, the achiever. Now, achievers are highly ambitious, self-assured people. They are motivated by advancement opportunities, and they are just very driven individuals. These individuals are very much about appearance. They are motivated by making good impressions, and they really strive to distinguish themselves from other people. Now, when it comes to weaknesses of the achiever, they are so focused on how other people perceive them that it can really impact that image consciousness in a bad way. It can actually lead them to being narcissistic. It can lead them to even being jealous or even being vindictive toward other people. So this is just something really important to keep in mind if you are an achiever. Now, on the flip side, when it comes to building leadership skills, achievers can actually become quintessential role models because of their drive for success and their just strong sense of belief in themselves. And when an achiever can pair up with a team member or multiple team members and help those team members work toward their goals, that's when the achiever can really start to develop a true sense of identity and purpose. Now, for those of you who are not achievers, but who do work alongside of them, it's really important for you to show your appreciation to an achiever, regardless of their accomplishments. And if you end up teaming up toward a common goal, working on a project together, this can really help strengthen your workplace relationship. Next on our list is type number 4, which is the individualist. Now, the individualists are usually very self-aware people. They are very sensitive people. They're very introspective people. Individualists pride themselves on their uniqueness and their self-identity, but this can also be one of their weaknesses because with that self-identity and standing out in a unique way, this can sometimes make individuals feel that nobody truly understands them. This can, of course, make it difficult for individuals to fit in with groups and feel like they are part of the group, and sometimes they will even self-isolate and try to push other people away even when they're trying to help. Now, when it comes to growing as a leader, if you are an individualist, one of the things that can actually really benefit you is to kind of take a step back from needing to stand out from the pack, needing to show off that uniqueness, because when you can start to focus on your team and even blend in with your team a little bit, then you can still bring that out of the box thinking, those creative ideas to the team, but it's part of a team effort rather than it's being all about you standing out from everybody else. For those of you who are not individualists but do work alongside of them, it is really important to embrace and acknowledge and appreciate an individualist's emotional sensitivity, their creativity, as well as their idealism. When an individualist is upset, however, don't take everything that they're saying literally. They may just be expressing a momentary feeling. Instead, empathizing with them without necessarily agreeing with them can help to strengthen your workplace relationship. Next on our list is type number 5, which is the investigator. Now, investigators are very curious people. They are very inventive people. They want to understand how the world works, and they are very interested in focusing on solving complex problems. These are often independent people. They're very innovative, and they are really able to bring their expert knowledge to a variety of issues that might come up in the workplace. Now, when it comes to the weaknesses of the investigator, of course, they have this drive and this need to gather as much information and detail as possible. So with that, it can cause them to become overly analytical, and they can sometimes have trouble empathizing with others at that point because they are so information driven. When it comes to building your leadership skills as an investigator, one of the best things that you can do is just focus on the present. A lot of times investigators are very forward thinking, they're focused on the future, which can really remove them from the reality that they're currently experiencing. In addition to embracing the present, investigators can sometimes have a tendency to get a little intense when it comes to sharing ideas or just, working on projects in the workplace. So by really learning to unwind and just relax outside of work or even maybe a little bit on the job at times, this can really help the investigator so that they are showing their enthusiasm for a project, but it's not a little too much. If you are not an investigator, but you work alongside one, a couple things to keep in mind. First is really to just respect their privacy. And then number two is to avoid pressuring them for quick decisions. Remember that these are individuals that like to really take time to think things out and gather as much information as possible. One really awesome idea would be to invite the investigator in your workplace for a brainstorming session. Sit down, talk about the future, talk about possibilities. This will really help to strengthen your workplace relationship. Moving right along to type number 6, which is the loyalist. Now, loyalists are very hardworking individuals. They're very reliable and very trustworthy. These individuals are also fantastic troubleshooters because they can often see potential problems and pitfalls before other people in the office see them. Due to their perception and their intellect, loyalists can tend to sometimes be a little overly cautious or a little skeptical. This can cause hesitation and even procrastination when it comes to projects at work. Definitely one of the weaknesses that loyalists need to work on. Loyalists can also lack confidence at work, suffer from a little bit of that imposter syndrome by believing that they don't have, the necessary skills or attributes that they need to do specific projects on their own when it comes to the workplace. When it comes to continuing to better themselves as a leader, loyalists can really learn a lot by exploring their skepticism and their pessimism. And by understanding these elements as well as their anxiety, they can start to kind of work away from that when it comes to moments of self-doubt and be able to move forward in those times a little bit easier as a leader. Now, if you are not a loyalist, but you do work alongside one, it is really important to acknowledge the problems that a loyalist brings up when you are starting a project. So really acknowledge those, let them know that you hear them and you do hear, the potential, issues that could come up before you actually move on to the next step of that project. And if you can put your cards on the table and really avoid ambiguity with a loyalist, you can really help strengthen your workplace relationship. The type number 7 for the Enneagram is the Enthusiast. Now, these are highly excitable, ambitious people. They are true visionaries when it comes to the workplace, and they like to motivate their team and inspire their team through enthusiasm, sensation, and different experiences. These individuals tend to be extroverted, optimistic, and even spontaneous, usually coming with high levels of energy and spirits. The same excitement that enthusiasts have for these new exciting things can also lead them to constantly be pursuing the next best thing rather than focusing on the here and now. And this can actually lead to burnout, and this can also lead them to even a lack of enthusiasm, which, really defines them because they are so focused on the next thing and they are moving from, project to project or even sometimes job to job at really an unreasonable rate. For enthusiasts who are looking to work on their leadership skills, the first thing is to just recognize when you're having these sort of impulses to explore new things or to jump from one item to the other. And once you can identify when you're doing that, you can start to really identify what impulses are worth pursuing and which ones maybe aren't worth pursuing in the here and now. Now, if you are not an enthusiast, but you work alongside one, it is, of course, as you can guess, extremely important to appreciate their new ideas, appreciate their visions of the future, and to just have fun exploring those visions with them. When it comes to communicating with an enthusiast, you really want to be transparent with them and very straightforward with them about what you need from them so that they do know what the expectations are, but also to be open to, if they have a new idea, be open to trying that new idea, be open to trying new tasks alongside them, and that will really help strengthen your workplace relationship. Moving right along to type number 8, which is the challenger. Now, challengers are highly motivated, goal oriented leaders, and they really focus on leading through influence and through strength. These individuals are driven by the desire to be self reliant, and they thrive really well under pressure, which really makes them natural leaders who tend to inspire others along the way. However, challengers can sometimes cause a little bit of a wedge between their coworkers because they will try to lead with intimidation. And it's really because they're trying to control as many aspects in their environment as possible to avoid weakness. Now, of course, this can lead to confrontation between coworkers because not every coworker really likes a controlling coworker telling them kind of what to do and intimidating them a little bit in the process. So there can sometimes be confrontation that pops up between challengers and coworkers, especially coworkers who aren't totally on board with the point of view that the challenger is offering. When it comes to challengers looking to work on their leadership skills, the biggest thing to work on is really just practicing some self-restraint. If challengers can learn how to yield to others a little bit and occasionally, go along with one of their ideas instead, it can allow the challenger to let people in instead of alienating them and really pushing them away. And this will help strengthen the bond between the coworkers at work. For those who are not challengers but do work alongside of them, it is important to stand your ground when it comes to confrontation. And it's not about, taking over. It's really just about holding steady and making sure that your opinion is still being shared, your viewpoint is still being shared, so that you and the challenger can start to have, more of a discussion together. The best way to honestly build your relationship with a challenger is to join them, to rally with them, to get excited with them about an upcoming project. This will really help strengthen your workplace relationship. We have reached type number 9 in our list. This is the peacemaker. Now, peacemakers are creative individuals who really prioritize harmony and balance in the workplace. Since they do have a more passive personality, peacemakers are usually able to help resolve conflicts between coworkers and mediate issues that arise at work. With their need for harmony, however, peacemakers can often, chronically avoid conflict as much as possible. And this can sometimes lead their coworkers or their team to get a little frustrated with them because they might seem very unresponsive to what's going on at work. And along those lines, peacemakers can become indifferent and they can sometimes minimize tasks and they can also sometimes procrastinate on tasks and put those off because they just don't have the capacity to deal with the conflict at that point in time. When it comes to peacemakers who are looking to grow their leadership skills, it's really important for them to understand that going along with ideas, all of the ideas, just to, quote unquote, keep the peace in the office, really is going to hold the peacemakers back from establishing true relationships with individuals. Because even though on the surface, the peacemaker really wants that harmony, they want that balance, they still are human. They still have negative feelings inside. They still have, bad responses to things. Those are still there. They're just not really being dealt with. So if the peacemaker can really start to embrace those as well, they can start to move forward, share opinions, and start to grow sincere relationships with their coworkers. For those who are not peacemakers but do work alongside of them, it is important that you don't come on too strong, that you aren't really creating a lot of pressure in the workplace, and that you're again not asking for quick decisions. These are not things that a peacemaker does well with. Instead, encouraging them to create their own priorities and supporting them to take action on those items can really help you strengthen your workplace relationship with a peacemaker. Whew, that was a lot of information to cover, but we made it through. We made it through all 9 types of the Enneagram. And there was a lot of information that we covered today, but if this is a topic that is interesting to you, there's a lot more information out there. So in addition to the free quiz, as well as the official Enneagram paid quiz, like I mentioned at the beginning, that we will leave linked down below, we'll also leave links to a few different articles that talk more about different Enneagram types so that you can continue exploring your Enneagram or your coworker Enneagram type as well down the road. I know that I just took the Enneagram quiz. I actually had my husband take it. Coworkers have taken it, and it is really, I think it's really interesting to just see what type everyone is and learn how you can better work with those individuals. I know that my husband is, he's a peacemaker. That's one of his top 3 for his Enneagram, and that is like so far from mine. So it's good to learn how you can even relate better in your personal relationships as well as in your work relationships with your coworkers too. So I'm definitely curious, did you already know what your Enneagram type is, or are you gonna go take the Enneagram quiz after watching this video? Give this video a like if you found personality assessments interesting, if you found learning about the Enneagram interesting. We would really love to make more videos on this if this is something that you find interesting as well. As always, we'll see you back here next Wednesday where we bring you even more tips to help you get your career in the express lane.